Alright, so we are in. Very nice. That took a while, but at least everyone got in okay. And it looks like we have a top lane Rengar versus a top lane Nocturne. Did not see that coming.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
But yeah, I initially thought that it was gonna be Jungle Nocturne, but completely wrong. Looks like people are having connection problems all over the place. Vayne disconnecting briefly.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Okay, so both teams playing pretty loosely, just having a laugh fest in the mid lane. Looks like there will be a lane swap coming in from Matt team, sending Vayne and Soraka top. And it looks like the LoLdo faction will be playing it standard. They've sent Sato already to just scout the blue entrance, so they'll probably be transitioning down to bot soon. And General should still get help in time. Yeah, Rengar should make it there in plenty of time. For those of you just tuning in, this is the third game in the best of 5 between the LoLdo faction and Matt Team plus Nick. LoLdo faction are up 2 games to nothing, so one more game and the set will go to them. And they will advance to the final games tomorrow against the winner between We Make You Fizz and Taylor Swift Fan Club. And that will be for all the marbles. Even if Matt Team plus Nick were to go down here, they would still have an opportunity to fight for 3rd place, which will also be tomorrow. However, I will not be streaming that match. I will be streaming the finals, as both matches will be taking place at the same time. The General getting caught out by our red buff Lee Sin. Lee Sin does give Jarvan quite a hard time early on in terms of one-on-one duels, so luckily he was able to escape without burning his flash. Does go dangerously low, and the General being very greedy. Actually getting, going back in against Lee Sin. But Lee Sin did not get the blue though. I did not see him level up, so it looked like they just kind of backed off right there. Oh. And then the Fear times out her E. Soul Seizures is dead. First blood! Oh, and Sneaky Deebs is dead. Oh, you're so dead. And in all of this, I actually noticed that Soraka is bottom with Syndra. So, very unusual team comp, to say the least, with a solo top 80 carry. But he did just manage to kill Rengar, so that's good for them. And an early 2-0 lead. It's like the weirder their comps get, the better Matt Team plus Nick do. So yeah, I'm still trying to gather myself over what just happened right there, but it was kind of a bad coincidence that the Fear just happened to cancel out, to keep her locked down long enough for the E to wear off, so she wasn't able to escape. But I'm not exactly sure how Vayne managed to 1v1 Rengar, how Rengar even got himself into that situation in the first place. It was definitely a 1v1 though, because Nocturne was busy ganking Lissandra. So there you go. Although I'm not really sure who's doing the gankings anymore because they're both kind of just living in the mid lane at this point. Okay, Lee Sin finally heading down the bottom. Gonna try to make a play there. And the general has kind of been just farming up. Hasn't really been visiting any of the lanes yet. Gonna try to pay a visit to this lane, but that tri-bush is warded, and they will ping him out. Vayne needs to back it up. So very unfortunate. If Jarvan had gone through the Baron pit, he could have possibly been able to sneak around and make a play. But walks right past that tri-bush ward, so well chosen by Vayne to ward that area. Ooh, big stun, double stun coming in. Lee Sin is gonna get that kill. And he'll back out just in time before the tower can finish him. That was a really good double stun by Syndra. And Math Team plus Nick are rolling in this third game. It's like the weirder their comps, the more unorthodox and weird that their comps get, the better they seem to do in the early game. But again, it's not... Starting well is a good thing, but finishing well is also just as important. So we'll see if the LoLdo faction can get it together. Because right now, all their lanes are just getting picked apart. Taking a look at the items real quick, Syndra has picked up that tier of the goddess. I don't really see a whole lot of Syndras these days, so we'll see how that works out for her. Double Doran's Blade for Lee Sin, opting not for a machete. So no jungle item, but a lot of damage early on. That health plus attack damage plus the on-hit lifesteal is going to be very good for him. Nocturne with a flask to keep his mana in check. Soraka taking a visit to mid lane to infuse him with a little bit more mana. What a nice support. Supporting two lanes at once. Sightstone coming out already for Soraka, so that's very good for her. Syndra getting some free damage on bottom as bot lane looked like they were gonna lane swap, but then they changed their minds. So now they have to take the long way back, so some big time lost right there. Oh my gosh, good night. Jarvan just walking up to Syndra, and Syndra's like, get out of my face. Blows all... smothers Jarvan in her big purple balls, and picks up another free kill. And that was, I believe, Jarvan's first kill of the first death of the game, so he got the full... they got the full 300 gold off of that. Rengar, in the meanwhile, finding himself a wild Nocturne to munch on, and that is the first kill for the LoLdo faction after 9 minutes. That does leave Vayne all by herself, though, and Vayne free farming is always bad news if you're against her. And right now, KT Feint is just exerting his dominance onto the LoLdo faction. He is just having his way right now. LoLdo faction either seem to be unfamiliar with this champion, or they might just be playing very overconfident because of their two wins. But KT Feint also might be getting a little overconfident. Pink Ward comes down in case of the ulti. But Syndra will live. Or the Ignite actually might finish her. Hard to tell. No, doesn't look like it's going to happen. She does survive. Just barely. And after all that chase, no kills for the LoLdo faction off of that, but a answer kill from Math Team plus Nick as they continue to just roll every fight. And Vayne is just getting so much farm. She's up to 70 now. She's knocking on the door of that turret as well. This is just a perfect game for Vayne. She basically gets to scale for free with no pressure. Sato coming up the top lane. After laning against that Syndra, probably thinking it's probably better that he goes elsewhere at this point, because Syndra is just chunking him down. He gets chunked so low that he's not even able to participate in most of the fights. Kind of just has to hug the back part. Ooh, that third proc. Big damage. And Vayne's basically in that safe mode now where she has the lifesteal, she has the active to kite back, plus the condemn and the tumble, so unless she gets 4-manned or something like that, she's very unlikely to die. So another lane swap coming in now, but this tower's probably not going to be much longer for this world. Rengar has to ulti, and ooh, that burst damage, so good. Kick back, yes, yes. Is Paranoia gonna come out? Nope, but a nice juke back by Soul Seizures, saving his life right there. And a decent trade by Sneaky Deebs. Even with the Soraka there, with all that extra armor she gives, they weren't able to seal the deal. So, signs of life from the LoLdo faction a little bit, but the turret still did go down, so that's a lot of free golden experience to the blue team. We'll see if the LoLdo faction can pull something together soon, because time is definitely not on their side. Let's see the general moving up top to try and make a play, but it is 4v3. Soraka a little far behind. The general gets caught out, has to flag over. The fear procs just as he gets over, but this turret is still going down. Another objective taken by Math Team. Very well done. Sneaky Deeb's doing his best to answer with a turret in the bot lane, but Syndra's coming around, and I'm pretty sure Syndra can fight this so long as she plays her cards right, but not gonna do it. Just gonna play it safe and take the free gold. And Soraka looks like she looked like she was heading down to support Syndra. Dragon still hasn't been contested yet and is 13 minutes into the game, so definitely gonna look to see for a dragon fight very soon. Especially with 2 turrets up on them, the map advantage is in the favor of Math Team plus Nick now, so they could push the lanes out if they want to, and then go for the dragon. And the LoLdo faction will be very hard pressed to respond to that, since pushing the lanes out will probably take priority. Sneaky Deeb's going very hard, trying to pick up a kill, not gonna happen. Not enough burst damage this time. And yeah, another free kill. Just in the wrong neighborhood at the wrong time. If KT Fane had been alone, that probably would have worked out a lot better, but it just so happened that the whole team was there. So, the gold lead is now 20.9 to 17 in favor of Math Team plus Nick. They're also up 2 towers. Dragon has not been contested yet, but still a very solid gold lead for the blue team. They need this win. They are down 2-0, so if they lose one more game, that's the set. So, Math Team plus Nick continuing to press their gold advantage and their power advantage. Manning up on this turret, the general going in. Those heals aren't going to do anything to save KT Feint. He had no business being that far up though, and he had his... Did he have his flash? No, he did not. He did not have his flash, but he had no business being that far up. That was very brazen of him. LoLdo faction make him pay, and they're four manning this turret, but the wave clear will keep them off of it for the time being. Setting their sights on the dragon instead, as they get the wards up to control the perimeter. Should be relatively uncontested. Yeah, Lee Sin missing the Q, so there's no way. He could flash in or W in and try to get it, but again, the dragon just becoming a bigger noob magnet for Math Team than the Baron usually would be for most teams. That is, I think, the third game in a row that they've tried to contest Baron, given up the contest Dragon. They've lost the Dragon and a kill in the process. It's at least the second or third time that that's happened. And this turret will go down 3. There will be no contest there. And the LoLdo faction will back it up. The gold lead is now much closer, 23 to 21. And the turrets are now 2 to 1. So, LoLdo faction showing some signs of a comeback. Pretty, not the biggest of throws right there by Math Team, but definitely a significant one. Giving up the dragon, a turret, and a kill. Looks like the LoLdo faction posturing a little bit, trying to protect this turret. They'll at least clear the creeps off. Syndra will take one shot at it for what it's worth. And they will back off. And it'll be very interesting to see how this the next few minutes play out. There hasn't really been a big team fight yet. It's been mostly just picks here and there. Some nice damage coming down from Syndra. That's going to be very key. If Syndra can get a lot of her damage off on the targets that they need, then these fights will not become fights anymore. And Soul Seizures really needs to be mindful of not taking too many hits, because if he gets chunked before the fight even starts, there won't be anything for them to do. It'll be essentially Jarvan suiciding in, and nothing will really come after that. Ooh, the bubble just missing on that Aqua Prison, just missing right there. Sneaky D split pushing has managed to take this turret in the top. Mid turret though, very, very low. But we'll see how this plays out. If Math Team plus Nick gets too greedy and try to force this, they might end up regretting it. So instead, they're just going to back up a little bit and let the waves come to them for a couple minutes. They should probably think about clearing out their buffs too. Their red has been up for a while. Taking a look at the items, since we have some downtime in the action. Morellonomicon for Lissandra. No real major item to speak of yet for Syndra, but that shouldn't be very long from now. Probably Azonia's is going to be the first priority item. Blade of the Ruined King, of course, for Vayne. Infinity Edge in the works for Tristana. And Math Team's patience paying off right there. The wave was there at the right place at the right time, and they got the last hits that they needed on the turret. No problem. And we got Sight Stones once again for the supports, mirroring builds basically, with the boots advantage going to Soraka. Black Cleaver and the makings of a probably a Hydra for Rengar. Nocturne also with the Blade of the Ruined King and Moby boots. Very interesting. Lee Sin still with no jungle item, opting for Merc Treads and a Giant's Belt. And a standard build from J4, basically the same builds that he did for the last couple games. Ancient Golem item into what will probably be a Locket. Oh, and it looks like Soul Seizures has finished up his Zonias. That's very good for him. Ulti pop by Rengar. Very interesting. Rengar going very, very hard. Vayne pops are ulti, but not much else. They did force the flash from Syndra though, which is not the worst thing in the world. The unfortunate thing was that Sneaky Deeps had to flash in exchange just to get that out. But for the moment, the lanes are looking pretty even. No side is really pushed up that far on the outers. It looks like Math Team plus Nick though is starting to shove in their favor, especially in the bot lane. So they can probably just stay here and chill all they want. Just feed Vayne as much CS as possible. And eventually the lanes will get to the point where they have to send somebody to clear it. So right now, Math Team plus Nick, full control right now. We'll see if the LoLdo faction decide to go hard very soon. Well, they've already sent Sneaky Deeps to clear top. They're gonna have to send somebody to clear bottom soon though. So we'll see if Math Team plus Nick decide to 5-man on this next wave, or if they decide to back up. For those of you just tuning in, you are watching Game 3 between the LoLdo faction and Math Team plus Nick. Math Team plus Nick are down 2-0, so they need this win to stay alive, and they are in prime position to take this third game at the moment. I say at the moment because there have been some pretty big swings in this set so far. KT Fane taking a little damage from the turret. Soraka healing him back up to full. And a very nice stun, forcing them off the turret. And Soul Seizures burns everything to survive. But at the end of the day, the turret did go down. So a very nice force on the turret. Again, a well-placed stun just to ensure that they got that. KT Fane really putting in work this game. Even though his score doesn't really reflect it, he has been putting in quite a bit of work, particularly in the early game. He's had a couple of missteps here and there, but overall, he's been really helping his team out. A good response from the LoLdo faction, taking the dragon for free, since they know that the blue team has to recall. But yeah, but so far, so good for the blue team. They haven't really made any major missteps, and they're picking their fights very smartly, not getting too greedy, and just slowly but surely taking down the towers. This game is still very, very close though, 31k to 30k. The farm is still very strong with the LoLdo faction. Their damage threats are getting that farm on, particularly Tristana, who is up to her Infinity Edge now. It's a big power spike for her. So we shall see. And Lissandra with that blue buff now has max CDR to go with the Morellonomicon, 20 and 20. So that's going to help her out a lot. One of the biggest weaknesses of Lissandra is that her cooldowns are particularly long if it's not called Q. So it's going to be up to Soul Seizures to just find the right targets to jump on, because once he gets one rotation off, he's most likely not going to get another one off unless he has both Zonias and ulti on him. Whereas Syndra doesn't really need to care too much about her rotations. It's all going to be about just getting the balls out, bursting down someone squishy, and then just waiting. Sneaky Deeps gets the bottom outer, which is nice. He goes stealth, but Nocturne is on the case. But unfortunately, he can't chase once he goes invis, so he will get away from that. Ooh. Not a whole lot of damage right there, though, but a very important cooldown blown. Syndra ulti. However, that did chunk Sato down to below half, and he doesn't have anything to lifesteal off of currently, so they could still try to make a play here. Oh, wow. Very well-timed EQ combo from the general. And flashing for the ulti. That's definitely worth it. Oh, very nice escape by Lee Sin, dodging the Aqua Prison. But the chase is very strong from the LoLdo faction. Soraka is definitely going to die. Super Marioing all over her face with the Goomba Stomp. And just as I said that Math Team plus Nick didn't make any missteps, that was a misstep. They traded a bunch of kills for nothing, and that's going to give the LoLdo faction an opportunity to take back some objectives and even it up a little bit. And all the meanwhile, Rengar is still split pushing. So this is a big problem. However, I don't think they can get this turret. Sato really needs to be careful tanking the turret. But yeah, nobody responding to Sneaky Deeves pushing in the bot lane. They're moving now though. Paranoia comes down to lock him up. The fear will send him in a great direction, considering that that's supposed to be kind of random. But a nice pickup by Rogue Yokai. Very well done. I think Rengar should have probably just tried to fight him at that point, but that's just me. Both of them had a lot of life steal, so that would have been a tough call. Rengar definitely powered up now with that Ravenous Hydra on deck. We'll see if he builds tanky or if he goes for that last Whisper next. But yeah, now with that misstep, this game is even Steven. 35 to 36k. It's effectively even. Turret's still slightly in the advantage of Math Team, but they cannot afford too many of those bad exchanges. A lot of resources were burned, a lot of flashes, and a lot of gap closers, so the next team fight will probably be a little bit faster since there's not going to be that much disengage anymore. And that fight also stemmed from Feint once again getting a little too close, not watching his toes and getting knocked up by the general. The last time that happened, he died for it, and then he died for it again a little while ago, so he needs to be very mindful of that Demacian standard combo. Ooh, stun comes out, but it only hits the general. If that had hit Soul Seizures, they probably would have said go time, but that opportunity is now gone. Rengar kind of shuffling around Dragon, and the Blues respawn now. Top lane pushing very heavily in the LoLdo faction's favor. Somebody's gonna have to clear that, or else that turret is gonna take a bunch of damage. And that's gonna be a bunch of gold lost. Nocturne will be heading over there. And that leaves bot lane wide open once again for Sneaky Deebs, but it doesn't look like he wants to go for it. Well, actually, never mind, he is. He just kind of fainted going back. Just to make sure probably that he stayed out of sight for as long as possible. And a nice pink ward coming down to clear vision of that. Dragon should be on its way up very, very soon. They are grouping up for it, and there it is. And Matthew plus Nick moving for Baron, it looks like. Yeah, they are moving for the Baron. That's a pretty gutsy call. There's no vision there. So they could probably do this. But I think the LoLdo faction might suspect something. So they're going over there to check it. Baron's still at over half. So this could be another bad call. But they do back off in time. If they had stayed any longer, that might have been bad. And it looks like they might be posturing for a fight, potentially. All ultis are available. Not all flashes, but definitely all ultis minus Rengar. So we shall see how this plays out. And Rengar going bottom once again to force somebody to fight him. Not sure if he wants to do that though after what happened last time with Nocturne, but you never know. That seems to be their strategy for the whole set. Just have Sneaky Deebs 1v1 somebody, and then everyone else just goes 4v4. So yeah, after that whole Baron shenanigans, a lot of everyone kind of slowing it down, playing it safe. A lot at stake here, guaranteed second place. Shot for the finals, shot at that triumphant Ryze skin, and the RP and the cash that go with it. And the LoLdo faction is very close, up 2-0. But don't count out Math Team plus Nick. They've been playing better and better as the set has been progressing, so anything is still possible. It's still very, very even. Both teams are very afraid to make the next wrong move. The next mistake could spell disaster for either team. Okay, so we have Matty plus Nick kind of grouping up in the mid area. Nocturne still split off to the side. Vayne coming over to join her team. And we will see what happens. Oh, baby! Big catch right there. Easy AoE wombo combos for sure. And oh my gosh. That is a heavy dive right there. Nocturne, if you know what's good for you, you will not ult in because that turret is gone. The fight is already lost. Lissandra does go down, but a 3-for-1 plus the turret and the team fight advantage right now. I don't think there's anything Nocturne can do to stop this. With Tristana's range and her attack speed, that turret is going to go down real fast. And like I said, the next mistake is just going to spell disaster, and that is a free inhibitor straight away. Very unfortunate right there that Matthew plus Nick got caught out of position. Rengar gonna backdoor this turret, no problem. Oh my. And Sato choosing not to help him. I guess the call must have been just let me die, I got the turret, don't sacrifice anything else. So, because Sato could have jumped over and possibly helped, but I guess they didn't know how many other members were on their way, so they decided to just play it safe and trade a life for the tower. At this point of the game, that is definitely worth it, since the minions on the LoLdo faction side are now powered up with that down inhibitor, and they're going to start pushing very hard. And Matthew plus Nick working on this Baron, and it's still 4v5. Soul Seizure's getting caught. Oh baby, he got caught out. Slammed right into the wall. Wham bam, thank you ma'am. And that is definitely going to be a Baron now. Vayne isn't even helping with the Baron. He's just trying to zone out the other team. Jarvan may try to go in. We shall see. Oh, and he stole it! Oh, he stole it! Demacia! Oh my gosh. The swings. Oh my gosh. The general with possibly the play of the set steals the Baron, giving a big screw you to Math Team plus Nick, saying all those picks and all that hard work for nothing. That was Math Team plus Nick's window to get in there, and they just did not respect the level advantage of the general. You have a level 13 Lee Sin to a level 15 Jarvan's, which means his smite will be that much more powerful. And while all that was happening, super creeps were knocking on the door of the base. Luckily, none of the turrets went down though, so they were able to get back in time to clear that. But man, I just want to say that catch on the Soul Seizures looks so militant. The way he just got slammed against the wall by Vayne, that was just beautiful. That was a really good catch by Vayne. So now, with Baron off the table, it's going to make it a real easy choice for the LoLdo faction to just keep the pressure up and just keep pushing. There's no real threat now that Baron is gone. And that's a lot of gold that could have went to Math Team. Very unfortunate. Could have been a lot of gold that they desperately needed right there. The buff notwithstanding at that point. The gold and the experience would have been so important. So as we approach the past the 35-minute mark, we see that Tristana has completed the holy trinity of AD carry items, the old school. Oh man! Even at that low health, Syndra almost managed to kill, but the cooldowns just weren't there. And a great chaining of the CC by Soul Seizures and Sniper Worm. And Rengar's coming in to join the party. Hey! And Syndra does manage to escape with her life. The rest of the LoLdo faction is coming in to potentially clean up. Good positioning by Sato to get himself out of there as soon as possible. And that's probably going to be GG right there. The minion wave is with them. And they should just end the game. That was a really chaotic fight at the end, but it all worked out for the LoLdo faction. That Baron buff, plus the superior team fighting. So the LoLdo faction will take this in a 3-0 sweep. Good attempt by Math Team plus Nick. They did have a chance in the early game with that huge lead they built up, but they just couldn't hold it. And the LoLdo faction will move on to the finals against the winner of the other semis. So well played.